Most YouTubers fail because they misunderstand analytics. In this masterclass, you'll learn the exact metrics that drive YouTube growth, audience retention, recommendations, and monetization. Welcome to this complete creator playbook. Today, we're going to completely reframe how you look at YouTube. We're throwing out the guesswork and stepping into a proven growth system. By the end of this blueprint, you're not going to see these metrics as just, boring numbers on a screen anymore. Instead, you're going to learn how to think like a literal attention engineer. Here's the ultimate paradigm shift. Channels that actually use their analytics data see 2 to 3 times faster growth. It's wild. And the secret here? It's that analytics aren't just cold data points. No, they are literally audience psychology and human behavior visualized right in front of you. Every single click, every time someone drops off, it all tells a very real, very human story.
So let's dive right into this fundamental equation. The core YouTube growth system is click-through rate plus retention plus watch time plus satisfaction, and all that equals YouTube growth. There's this huge myth out there that the algorithm just wants you to upload constantly. But in reality, the algorithm actually works by rewarding viewers' satisfaction. It evaluates clicks, sees if people stay, checks how long they watch, and ultimately measures whether they leave feeling totally satisfied.
All right, here's our syllabus for today's masterclass. First up, the psychology of the click. 2, engineering audience retention. 3, session time and ecosystems. 4, mastering YouTube traffic sources. And finally, 5, monetization and success formulas.
Let's get right into it. Part 1, the psychology of the click. Let's do a rapid-fire rundown of your creator dashboard. Impressions, that's just how many times YouTube actually shows your thumbnail. CTR is the percentage of people who actually click it. Then we have retention and average view duration, or AVD for short, and these measure exactly how long those viewers stay. Watch time is your total cumulative minutes watched. Session time is huge. That measures if they keep binging more videos after yours. And finally, traffic sources show you exactly where those viewers came from, while RPM and CPM track your revenue. Think of these as the essential dials on your channel's dashboard. Now think about the contrast between weak and strong packaging. Weak packaging, it's just generic, and it's going to give you a super low CTR. But strong packaging, that acts like a blockbuster movie poster. It heavily leverages human psychology. Our brains are literally wired to notice faces, raw emotion, and high contrast. What you really want to do here is create a curiosity gap, an open loop. That happens when a viewer sees your title and thumbnail, and they feel this overwhelming, oh man, I absolutely need to know this, kind of psychological tension. And the best part is, you can do this without ever resorting to cheap clickbait.
Moving right along to Part 2, engineering audience retention. Every single video has a very specific lifespan. Those first 0 to 30 seconds, absolutely critical for the algorithm. This is your hook. If you see a steep early drop-off, like more than 40% right at the start, well, your intro basically failed to deliver on whatever your thumbnail promised. Now that middle section, from 1 to 5 minutes, that's where you absolutely have to manage cognitive load. Elite creators use a value every 20 to 30 seconds principle. They're using fast pacing, dynamic editing, captions, B-roll, motion graphics, zooms, transitions, sound design, basically everything possible to keep viewers fully engaged. And finally, those last 20 seconds, that's purely for your call to action. Think of your audience retention graph like a heart monitor for your viewers' energy. A sharp drop, that means boredom, confusion, or maybe a really slow pacing issue. A sudden cliff means viewers are literally bailing out on you. But on the flip side, retention spikes are gold. They indicate these high-value, super emotional, highly rewatchable moments. These spikes are incredible because they tell you exactly what your audience loves and what you absolutely need to double down on in your very next upload.
So let me challenge you right now. Have you actually checked your audience heartbeat lately? I genuinely want you to pause this masterclass right now and go look at the audience retention graph of your top-performing video. Seriously, go look for those exact drops and spikes. Analyze the specific timestamps to spot these behavioral patterns in your own content. It is hands down the most actionable diagnostic tool you have in your arsenal.
All right, Part 3, session time and ecosystems. Now this next point is absolutely crucial. So let's use a theme park analogy. YouTube is basically a giant theme park, and your video is just one single attraction inside it. YouTube's ultimate goal? Keep people inside the park for as long as humanly possible. If a viewer finishes your video and then goes on exploring other videos on YouTube, your session time shoots up. The algorithm heavily rewards content that keeps viewers satisfied and continuously binge watching on the platform. So to maximize that session duration, you've got to build a content ecosystem. First, use playlists to group similar content. Why? Because it reduces decision fatigue. The viewer can just lean back and keep watching. Next, create video chains, where topics naturally flow from beginner to advanced. And definitely use strategic end screens in the final 20 seconds of your video to guide viewers to the exact next logical attraction in your theme park.
Let's shift gears to part 4, mastering YouTube traffic sources.
If you want to diagnose your discoverability, you've got to look at your primary traffic sources. Browse features, like the main homepage, and suggested videos, that Up Next panel, these act as YouTube's massive discovery engines. They are literally pushing your content to cold audiences who weren't even looking for you. Then you have YouTube Search, which is driven by viewers typing in very specific queries, and of course, external traffic coming from places like your social media or email newsletters.
It's super important to understand the difference between search and browse. Search-driven content is typically educational, highly specific, and really SEO-focused. The viewer has incredibly high intent. Browse-driven content, on the other hand, that needs to be highly emotional and curiosity-driven. You need those scroll-stopping thumbnails to capture a completely cold audience. A truly healthy channel relies on a really good mix of both of these to ensure stable, predictable growth over time.
And finally, part 5, monetization and success formulas. Let's clear up a huge point of confusion for a lot of creators. RPM versus CPM. So CPM, or cost per mil, is the cost that advertisers actually pay per 1,000 impressions. This is heavily driven by your niche. Topics like finance or tech just naturally draw higher CPMs. And it's also driven by geography, like if your viewers are in the US or the UK. But RPM, or revenue per mil, that's what you actually take home per 1,000 video views after YouTube takes its cut. By tracking your RPM by topic and optimizing for returning viewer loyalty, you can strategically multiply your channel's earning power.
And all of this data feeds into a continuous optimization loop. You upload, measure, analyze, optimize, and repeat. Nowadays, elite creators are dramatically speeding up this cycle using AI workflows. They're jumping into tools like ChatGPT or NotebookLM to analyze their scripts. They use Canva and CapCut for rapid thumbnail generation and video editing, and platforms like vidIQ or TubeBuddy for deep keyword and data research. Listen, successful creators absolutely do not rely on guesswork. They treat every single video as a data point to systematically refine their craft.
Which brings us to a foundational truth of this entire masterclass. The creators who dominate YouTube are not lucky. They understand psychology, attention, retention, and analytics systems better than most creators. They literally think like psychologists, marketers, storytellers, and attention engineers all rolled up into one. Because when you truly understand the data, you understand the viewer.
And that leaves us with this final, ultimate master formula. Psychology combined with data, plus retention, plus relentless optimization, plus consistency equals YouTube success. You now have the complete creator playbook right in your hands. So my final provocative question for you is this. Now that you have the blueprint to view your analytics as actual human behavior, what hidden mistake in your own content are you going to engineer out first? Start analyzing, start optimizing, and go build your ecosystem.